Good morning, everyone, and I want to welcome my good friend Keith Murphy with Essex Mortgage. Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly Nelson. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. I'm out here in my lovely backyard.
Yes.
We're going to be starting construction on a new pool pretty soon, but we're just waiting for the permit, so I still have a garden over here to my right, but it'll be a big hole pretty soon, I hope.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It looks like you're in the middle of the forest in a nature preserve there.
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite trees back here. It's a multi-trunk crepe myrtle. So whenever people ask me for recommendations, I say, hey, look at a multi-trunk crepe myrtle. It'll bring you good luck.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Lovely backdrop.
Thank you. So just real quick, I wanted to mention to everyone what we're going to be discussing this morning is what is the difference between an appraisal and a home inspection. So I'm going to mention first of all that once you get into contract when you're a buyer, that those are two of the buyer's expenses, which is the appraisal, the lender orders, and the home inspection, which the buyer selects probably with the guidance of their real estate agent, a home inspector to come in and inspect the property. So Keith, why don't you go ahead and jump right into the loan side, which is the appraisal.
Sure. And I think this is a great topic because clients ask me a lot, like, why am I paying for an appraisal when I've already scheduled a home inspection? And so this is a good topic. As a lender, when we're lending money, a mortgage is being issued, we have to have some assurances that the valuation, the price point that the buyer and seller agreed to is supported by market data. So in essence, that appraisal is to make sure that the buyer's not overpaying and that we as a lender are not overlending. There is some aspects of a home inspection. There is a little bit of crossover insofar as the appraiser is going to note, if there's any health and safety issues noted, a broken window, carbon monoxide or smoke detectors that aren't working, maybe an outlet that's close to a water source like in the kitchen or bathroom that doesn't have a GFI trip, things that are just basic health and safety related. Whereas that home inspection, which I'll let you speak on, is more of a forensic audit, if you will, of the home and the actual physical inspection. And the detail that home inspector is going to go through is nothing compared to what the appraiser is doing.
Right, exactly. I think that when you think about what a home inspection is, if you can think about the inspector doing an inspection, a review, I know recently I said you never want to define something with itself, but basically they're going through and opening all of the windows that they can, any of the outlets that they have access to, they'll use their tester on. They'll make sure that if there are screens that have holes in them, they'll make note of that. They'll check the water pressure. And typically, water pressure needs to be anywhere between 60 and 80 PSI. If it's higher than that, hopefully it's an adjustable water pressure regulator. Otherwise, it may just be that the water pressure regulator is out and needs to be replaced. That would not be something that the appraiser would do. However, one of the things that I do see frequently that, and you can attest to this, the FHA and VA loans, the appraiser will go ahead and turn on all of the burners on the stove. Sometimes they may put a wet sponge in the microwave and make sure that works. They may run the dishwasher. They're always going to run the water and make sure that there is definitely hot water coming out of all of the hot water sources. And they're going to make sure that there's no leaks under the sinks. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they don't do that as far as the leaks go. But they definitely, I've noticed, always want to run and test for hot water. The home inspectors, where they're getting a little bit more creative, which I think is a good thing, is they are using a drone to go up to see the roof. And I personally always have my clients get a roof inspection. I don't want an inspector crawling on a roof. They shouldn't be if they're not a licensed roofing contractor. But we can get a licensed roofing contractor. That's allowable. The buyer does pay for that. And it's a very inexpensive inspection, runs about $75 over and above their home inspection, but it's money well spent, because if you don't get up there and actually take a look, you may not see that there's potential issues that are going to be coming up that are going to be causing leaks. That's one of the biggest things I find that people don't take care of, is their roof. They forget all about it until they actually have a leak. And my recommendation is just get somebody up there every 2 to 4 years at the most, and get that roof checked out. If there's any slip tiles, get those put back in place, clean out the valleys, and that sort of thing. But as far as the home inspection goes, definitely a thorough visual inspection. In addition to the things inside the house, they go in and look in the attic. They're definitely looking for any evidence of termites and wood pest invasion, but they are not making a final declaration on that. That's for the wood pest inspector to do. And typically, at least here in the Riverside County and San Bernardino areas, I can attest to, that tends to be a seller expense. We do ask for that on the contract on behalf of the buyer, that the seller pay for that. And most of the time they're agreeable to that. So I don't know how your things are running for you up in Orange County. As far as, does the seller normally pay for the Section 1 and the wood pest inspection up there?
Yeah,
Or
I'd
is
say
that
about
negotiable?
99% of the time, the seller's paying for that pest inspection, and any Section 1 items, they are paying for those cures.
Oh, okay, great, yeah. So Section 1, just for everybody's edification, is any evidence of current infestation of either termites, whether they're subterranean termites or any fungus, any evidence of mold in the wood, usually the fascia on the outside, or anything that can get sprayed with water from the sprinklers. There's a possibility that you're going to end up having a little bit of wood rot from that. So for the sake of the lender typically wants to see that all of that has been taken care of. Again, preserving the value of that property for the long term. So bringing all of that to light for the buyer makes sense, because those are things that you want to make sure, especially if they're a new homeowner. I always feel like they need to know these are things you want to be aware of and be keeping an eye on for regular ongoing maintenance and preservation of the property. So is there
Absolutely.
anything else that you can think
So
of?
we
Have you
can
ever
plan.
seen it where
Well,
the inspection has an impact on your underwriting?
good question. Typically, as far as the home inspection, we're not going to ask for that and not even actually see it, unless there are some specific things called out on an addendum to the contract where you do the request for repairs. And if it said, seller to fix roof leak, well, that's going to be a red flag.
Mhm.
And we're going to probably want to see, well, where did that come from? Oh, it was in the home inspection or the roof inspection. We'd probably request a copy. But typically, we're more so just concerned with the value, and if there was Section 1 items in a pest inspection, that those are cured by somebody before closing, and that again is typically the seller. So we have our appraisal for value. We have our home inspection, which is the top to bottom, inside out, outside in. Look at all the aspects of home, so you know what your potential future deferred maintenance costs might be. You do a roof inspection, which I think is excellent, and I don't see too many buyers doing those. And I know that we've had a few transactions where you had the roof inspection done, and lo and behold, there was issues and dollars. So it's nice to know about those problems before you finalize the contract and maybe negotiate a cure. And then lastly, the pest inspection. As far as any others, if there are rural areas, which there are some out there in Riverside, San Bernardino, don't see it so much in Orange County or LA County, but if they're a certificate or inspection, same thing if it's a septic. Most people are on sewer, but if there's a septic system, we're going to need to get an inspection on that, make sure that it's in good working order. But Other than that, soil samples, environmental reports are typically when homes are like on hillsides or whatnot. So it's not very typical. I think those four main ones for your clients and our viewers watching today are what they need to be mindful of.
Great, great. Well, Keith, once again, I think your insight and the combined effort together, I hope, is so informative and educational for our viewers, and really appreciate your time this morning. Want to thank you and wish you a good rest of the weekend and a good week next week. I know there are a lot of people refinancing right now that rates are still absolutely fantastically low. And I think last Friday hit some new record lows across the board. So good things going on that way as far as if you're a homeowner that has a higher rate. And we'll look forward to seeing more people get taken care of with our combined efforts. And really appreciate your time again today. Thank you.